What's going on, you guys? Bias here. Today I want to talk to you about aim assist and if it should be brought into PC lobbies in Overwatch 2 and if they should just combine the inputs and quick play. Like, what should they do? Because other games do it differently than Overwatch, and Overwatch is kind of the only game that really does it the way that it does. I kind of wanted to explain the reason that it is the way that it is, and I wanted to kind of talk about what would happen if you change it, okay? I'm going to look at this from a very unbiased view because I played many years on controller, 2001 to about 2015 or so. Since then, I've touched it a few times just to test, but that's about it. And I've played mouse and keyboard for many years as well. So what I want to talk about is if you was to bring aim assist into PC lobbies, let's just say you forced it into PC lobbies, like you made it where if a console player joins on their PC friend, you give them aim assist. That would never work because now you're forcing every single other player in that lobby to play against you without any ability to avoid it. And if you gave them an ability to opt out, you're separating the pools of players even further when you already have damage, support, and tank. And you really don't want to do that any more than you have to. Even if Overwatch 2's player base is huge, you don't want to segment them more than you have to. I just don't think doing that is necessarily the smartest thing. Then if we talk about maybe like in quick play, we create input-based matchmaking, or we allow them all together, or whatever else, right? The problem with input-based matchmaking is not just with mouse and keyboard versus controller. It's also controller versus controller, and nobody really talks about this. If you've ever played controller on console and you've played it on PC, PC is 100% advantageous. Playing on a higher frame rate with aim assist normally does something a little funky, and it makes the aim assist feel stronger. It makes it feel smoother to play on controller. And you are at an advantage over console players, and now they would be forced to play against them. If you gave them the ability to opt out, like you do in some games, because console players demand the ability to opt out of crossplay, what you would do is segment the players even further, because now you have console that's opting in, console that's opting out, you have controller on PC, you have mouse and keyboard on PC. You would segment the players so greatly, and then this would end up hurting queue times. And then we don't know exactly how well Overwatch 2 is going to perform yet. It might not do all that well, for all we know. So I don't think that's necessarily a wise decision. Now let's talk about the last solution, which is you just combine all of them together in quick play, because it's just quick play, right? It's not, you don't take it seriously. The problem here is that the main thing that aim assist does, we don't need to get into if it's advantageous at the highest level or not. It's definitely not an Overwatch, but the main thing that it does is it kind of raises the bar. So like, let's just say your average to below average player is now going to be better because controller is definitely easier. I think anyone would agree that. Mouse and keyboard is definitely harder. The ceiling is basically infinite, but it is definitely harder. And what you would do is you would force average to below average mouse and keyboard players to now have to compete with players that might be worse than them, but they're better because the input's easier, and they would end up quitting the game because they would have no ability to avoid it other than comp. And then comp would be putting them in sweaty matches. They'd have no ability to just have fun, right? And I don't think that should ever be taken away from any player, whether it's controller or whether it's mouse and keyboard, right? I think that you should have the ability to just play the game, have fun, player choice. You should always have the ability to avoid it. Like Apex Legends, for example, the biggest problem with the way that it handles crossplay is controller players can avoid mouse and keyboard players by going back to console. But a mouse and keyboard player can never avoid controller players because controller players are still on PC and they're still in their lobbies with no ability to avoid it. I think that Overwatch's current system, yes, it does screw you in scenarios where you join on your friend that's a PC player or where you plug in a controller into PC. You're definitely at a disadvantage. But that's a smaller subsection of players, and what it does by doing that is it tells you, okay, we're going to allow both inputs to have fun. We want this input, meaning mouse and keyboard, to be what's used at the highest level, and we don't want anything to hurt that competitive integrity, like games like Apex and stuff that just allow mass chaos. We don't want anything to hurt the competitive integrity. And what we want is both inputs to just be able to play and have fun and quick play without interfering with each other. Now, the one flaw with Overwatch's current system, though, and I want to mention this before I get out of here, is Zim. So, as you've probably heard, Fortnite has started banning Zim and Chronos Max, or whatever the fuck it's called, the thing on the back of your controller. They're starting to crack down on all those different devices that do things like boost aim assist and all this other crap that it can do to give you an advantage. And one thing that definitely needs to be done in Overwatch is console definitely needs to be cracked down on Zim, because Zim does dominate in the console lobbies as far as in ranked. And that's not fair. Like I said, I'm all for player choice on either side. And you should not be forced to play against a blatant cheater. Because if you're not aware, a Zim is not a mouse and keyboard player. That is a mouse and keyboard player that has aim assist because their input is being masked as a controller. So even if you was put input-based matchmaking in the game, it would still be there because it's showing up as a controller. Those are blatant cheaters. They are way better than a mouse and keyboard player, and those players need to be banned from the game. It's not just a problem of them being in your lobby, it's a problem of them being in the game in general. That needs to be banned 100%. So I hope we can all look at this objectively and kind of put our feelings aside. Like I said, I've played years on both inputs. I definitely am a little bit more biased to mouse and keyboard now because I like to play competitively, and I do like that the skill gap of playing on mouse and keyboard more than I did ever playing on controller. But I do look at it very unbiased, and I want both inputs to have fun. I don't want aim assist to be brought into PC and say, oh, it has to be nerfed. No, it shouldn't be nerfed. It should be left the way that it is, but it just shouldn't be forced. That those two inputs should never be forced together like that. I don't think it does anything good for the game, not long term anyways. I think the way that Overwatch does it is the best system in all of gaming to allow both inputs to have fun and keep competitive integrity in the game long term. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, remember to like, share, subscribe. Got some more coming. And leave a comment if you disagree and let me know what you think. As always, guys, peace out.
No.
How are you not coming out?
That's not it. That's not what I meant to.
Oh.
No. Maybe I should switch.